Hello, everyone, and welcome to Politics Today live from our channel's television studios in Abuja. I'm Kayla Megwa, standing in for your regular host, Shegun Kimbaloye, who is unavoidably absent today. And I'm sure Shegun will be watching this right now and looking forward to being with you very soon. And our main conversation tonight, 2 years of the Tinubu presidency in focus. His party has spoken. It's time for the Nigerian people to speak in the hopes that the president will listen. As we navigate Nigeria's tumultuous political terrain tonight, we dive into 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Scorecards, highs, lows, and in-betweens with the opposition and with civil society. But as we told you earlier, during the swearing-in of 6 newly appointed resident electoral commissioners, recently confirmed by the National Assembly, the INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, fixed the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states for Saturday, June the 20th, and Saturday, August the 8th, 2026. For Ekiti State, he says the election will be held on Saturday, 20th of June, 2026. However, party primaries will start on the 20th of October, 2025, and end on the 10th of November, 2025, to enable political parties uphold their nomination forms to the dedicated portal. And he also spoke on the elections, which will be coming up in both states. Take a listen.
For Ekiti State, the election will be held on Saturday, 20th July 2026. However, party primaries will start on 20th October 2025 and end on 10th November 2025 to enable political parties upload their nomination forms to the dedicated portal, which automatically shuts down by 6 p.m. on 22nd December 2025. That is not later than 180 days before the election. The final list of candidates will be published on 18th January 2026, while campaign in public by political parties will commence on 21st January 2026 and end 24 hours before election day. In the case of Osun State, the election will be held on Saturday, 8th August 2026. Party primaries will start on 24th November 2025 and end on 15th December 2025. The portal for the upload of nomination forms by political parties closes at 6 p.m. on 9th February 2026. That is not later than 180 days before the election as provided by law. The final list of candidates will be published on the 9th of March 2026, while campaign in public by political parties will commence on the 11th of March 2026 and end 24 hours before the election.
Both elections promise to be full of intrigues as both governors are seeking re-election. Biodun Oyebanji of Ekiti from the All Progressives Congress and Ademola Adeleke from Osun of the People's Democratic Party. Let's take a look at what's happening in Edo State, shall we? We talked about it earlier, talking about political amnesty. Many people are looking at this story and wondering if this is actually a way of bringing them together. Let's see if we can grow the state together. And this is coming after this appeal court judgment. Remember that Mr. Aswe is on his way to the Supreme Court as he rejects this particular judgment that we saw from the appeal court. The governor of Edo State, Okpebolo, is offering him political amnesty. He says, look, if they don't love you, come to me. We shall work things together and ensure that we have our state running again. But that is going on right there in Edo State. Now, it is time for us to take a look at some of the major stories going around today. We're serving you up your political roundup stories right now.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reversed the judgment by Federal High Court in Kano voiding the composition of the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission, KASIEC, and the local government election that was conducted on October 26, 2024. In 3 unanimous judgments, a 3-member panel presided over by Justice Biobele Churchwill held that the lower court lacked the jurisdiction to entertain cases bordering on the composition of state electoral bodies and the qualification of members of such bodies. Former Governor of Ekiti State Gaudi Fayemi is calling on civil society organizations and the media to draw inspiration from the effective gatekeeping done by CSOs and the media during the days of the military, which led to the return of democracy. Mr. Fayemi, who was the keynote speaker at the roundtable on the relevance of the Freedom of Information Act in electoral transparency and accountability in Abuja, he tasked them to constantly spotlight issues that directly affect the people and draw the attention of political leaders to such matters.
We have to insert politics into our policy making, but progressive policy, politics, a politics that really advances the interest of the people, ultimately.
Meanwhile, Edo State Governor Monday Okpeholo has reaffirmed his commitment to grassroots development with the donation of operational vehicles to the 17 local government council chairmen across the state. Speaking during the commissioning ceremony at the State Civil Service Secretariat of Benin City, Governor Okpeholo explained that the gesture is aimed at enhancing effective service delivery to residents at the grassroots level. Youth leaders across ethnic nationalities in the Niger Delta have called on President Bola Tinubu to take urgent steps to restore democratic governance in Rivers State. Addressing journalists in Port Harcourt, the President General of the coalition, Tari Theophilus, decried the political situation in the state, particularly the absence of democratically elected local government officials in the state. Lastly, in Plateau State, a group under the aegis of ABC Like Minds Political Forum has condemned the recent call by a member of All Progressives Congress in the state for the endorsement of Governor Caleb Mutfwang as sole candidate for 2027 governorship. The group described the call as reckless, malicious, self-serving, calculated attempt to rubbish not only the reputation of the party in the state and the national, but a calculated attempt to derail the genuine efforts of its stakeholders to reposition the party in the state. Leader of the forum, who is a former chairman of Jos North Local Government Council, Bala Usman, told journalists in Jos that the party is taking steps to address the issue.
Well, you've been served your political roundup stories. All right. It's been 2 years of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, and the reactions are pouring in. As we said earlier, we've heard from his party. They've endorsed him. So he's doing a good job. You know, he can handle the remaining 4 years, 2 years, and we are giving him another 4 years. He's going to be unopposed. They see him and they believe in him. What we've heard. It's time to hear from the opposition and to hear from the Nigerian people, even though they say this was an internal party thing. When it's time to listen to the Nigerian people, they will go to the polls. Well, an endorsement in the face of a lot of suffering, which the Nigerian people blame on the president, is one that the Nigerian people will want to respond to. And expectedly, we're getting a lot of response from opposition. Today, we have in the studio with us someone who will be talking to us about the 2 years of the Tinubu administration. He has been very vocal and very upset about a lot of things going on in the Tinubu administration. And today we'll be trying to hear what he means by saying that the Nigerian budget has become the ATM of the elite. Joining us today on the program, Mr. Peter Ahmed, the National Spokesperson, Conference of United Political Parties, CUPP. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Hi, Chief.
I'm the National Secretary.
National Secretary.
Before Mark will start to fight me.
Hi, Chief. It's nice to have you here with us on the program.
My pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's talk about it. Let me start with the last statement I saw from you. You released it and you said that the budget, of course, the conversation about budget padding had started. And you were saying that the budget has become the personal ATM of the political elite. What do you say that?
There's an allocation of resources, because you have to prioritize your allocation of your own resources in order to benefit the welfare of the people. If the resources you are aligning in your federal budget are misaligned in the way that does not help to bring down the suffering of the people, to be able to improve their lives, then there's a problem. Then there's a problem with the way the budget has. Look at 6.9 trillion padded by the National Assembly. Like what budget said that we could give the world, we could buy sunlight for the whole world, because we are looking at 260 something million for one solar street light. How many of that do we need? The president came into office made promises that they were going to till 500 hectares of farmland, arable farmland, so that Nigerians can have food sufficiency, at the long run. But they haven't done that. They've opened up the border. What really annoyed me was when the president even made a statement for the second year anniversary and wrote in the statement that staple food prices are dropping. Rice price, the cost of bag of rice has dropped. It only dropped because you opened up the border.
But it dropped.
He opened up the border.
But it dropped.
No, listen. It is very dangerous for our country because people have invested their money in trying to invest their money in farm to try to cultivate food products that will help our country. Investors who have now started planting rice, what are you going to tell them? How are they going to meet with the competition of people bringing rice from Thailand at 46,000 naira?
We have had this conversation before, but let's bring it up since you brought it up. Now, the removal of fuel subsidy and these economic policies of the president, of course, you've been very critical of the economic policies of the president.
It's very bad.
Now, after that was done, of course, it was expected that the price of food was going to go up. We needed to come to some kind of level, and that is what the presidency explained. Hold on, High Chief. He says that when we now balance out, then we can now start to adjust. And according to the presidency, that is what is happening now. Those extremely high prices are coming down. You're not buying this conversation at all. You're not buying it.
The president came into office without a plan. That's a fact. Let me explain to you. Because you can't be making policy statements, irrationally, impromptu, in an impromptu status. And then you come back and reverse it. When the president said he was going to cultivate 500,000 hectares of land for farming, he hasn't done that. There's no 1 hectare cultivated for farming, either cassava or rice, in anywhere. Then you come back to the issue of fuel subsidy. Go and ask anywhere in the world. You must have a policy. Yes, good. But you must also have a plan on how to cushion the effect of that policy. The president never had that. On May 29, 2023, Nigeria was thrown into poverty when the president, without any plan, without any policy direction, removed fuel subsidy. That same day, fuel jumped from 195 per litre to close to 1,000. You're looking at, because the cost of transportation affects everything within this country. The cost of service, the cost of goods and services are affected by cost of transportation. Because the cost of transportation ballooned to 300% the day the president made that pronouncement. So the suffering of the people also became a major issue. So if the president had a plan, or he had looked at policy direction properly, the president knew what to do. He would have put in check measures that would have helped to reduce the impact of that policy on the Nigerian people.
What kind of measures do you think because that's something we've been hearing everyone talk about. When you remove subsidies, if you're looking at, well, they say they're not moving towards a free market, right? They're not doing that. But it does feel like it's going in that direction when you take away all of these subsidies. They said there are some subsidies still in place. Now, in your view, when you take away subsidies and then you're hit hard as a people with the impact of that, what should the president have done in these 2 years to cushion the impact in your view?
What the president would have done was to say, okay, look, there's a corruption in the subsidy regime. Except the president does not have the courage to deal with that corruption. And that's the way he was looking for a short call and then put the pain and the suffering on the Nigerian people directly. What they would have done, I'm into office May 29. I have 4-year term. In the next 6 months, I have to look at the corruption within the subsidy regime. And while looking at that, I need to make provisions for resources to be able to, get buses, make up transport, vehicles available. So that whenever you remove this, you will now have an independent transport company that will be able to cushion the effect of the
so free transportation for the Nigerian people.
Yes, not even free. At a cost that will not even eat off the entire 70,000 minimum wage. A subsidized cost of transportation. That is one way. And then open up the 500,000 hectares of land and provide job for the people. So with that, in that process, look, agriculture has the shortest gestation period. You can even plant rice like 4 times in a year, and you can plant cassava. So if you have gone to, like he promised Agbado, and he promised Nigeria Agbado, and if you have done that, you will see that a lot of people would have had, food on their table. The cost of living would have reduced, not the level of the cost of living people have today. A lot of people who earn 100,000, 70,000 can no longer take care of their family. You know why? Because even working and you have 100,000 and you stay in Suleja, coming to Wuse 2, your money is finished. So that is the problem we're having. There was no plan. There was policy, but there wasn't a plan to pushing the negative effect of that policy.
I want to be able to talk to you about one of the major questions Nigerians have had about the Tinubu administration in the past 2 years. The removal of subsidy. Everyone agreed before the elections that this was going to be done. But when it was removed, the question now became, where did the money go? Because from opposition, you know, we've heard it in whispers from time to time. Oh, where has the subsidy money gone? Because we were supposed to see it working in other sectors. What do you think has happened in this situation?
It doesn't. The amount of allocation.
Did it disappear?
Both the state and federal share has actually increased.
So allocations increased?
Increased. Okay. But we don't know what they're doing with it. For me, I've made a statement because I can say I know what they're doing with it. I can say that I see that they are building up luxury for themselves. Because you can't be buying, in austerity period, you can't be buying comfort for the president and those who live around the president. You can't be, you know, for the 2 budgets, we have had kitchen utensils of the presidency changed twice. We have had vehicles being bought for National Assembly and those in the presidency. We have had issues of the yacht being bought. We have had issue of spending 150 billion of our money in a private jet for the president. I think there's no prioritization. They are not prioritizing the expenditure that will actually help the poor people, help the masses, help the Nigerian people to live a comfortable life. Because you can't provide job in a situation where you are not even, the country is not productive. You talk about electricity. What is the investment with the electricity? They are only trying to charge more, get more tariff on electricity that they can't even, be able to get more to more people. You know, in band A, band C, they don't have light. So band C, band B, they don't have light. So you need to have a government that is very well interested in investing for the future, investing for the life of the common man, and putting money where it should be, and not that this traveling all over the world looking for pity. When the people know the country is rich and our resources are being wasted, yes, our resources will be wasted. You can look how many times the president has traveled, since he became president. So you need to have a data and look at the corruption perception index have not reduced. We have 146 over 180 in corruption perception index. We have 161 over 189 in human developmental index. So we need to, the data that is there in the public, the president hasn't done anything. Our farmlands are not safe. Our highways are not safe. There's no proper blueprint to see how do we get security to our farmland. How do we get, what is happening in Plateau, what is happening in Taraba, what is happening in Benue. The president has not shown empathy or to be sensitive to the issues of the plight of our people there. He has never visited. The only time he went to Katsina was for a wedding. Despite people died a week before. So we need to have somebody who is connecting with the people. Because the president is here to govern and make life easier for the people, using our public resources, collective resources, to better the lot of our people. So if we have a situation where that is not happening, then we must speak up. This is not the interest of what are we gaining. The only thing we gain is that those are the corridor of power have developed an habit, to silently walk around the president by not telling the truth. But those of us who are Nigerians, who are living this pain, not collecting salary from government, those who don't get paid by government, those who don't live in the luxurious lifestyle provided by government, are actually the one being affected by the policy somersault and misguided policy direction of this administration. And there's need for us to speak with the president, whatever medium we can use, to be able to realign his thought towards actually investing properly. Look at the capital expenditure of the budget last year. It performed just 25%. And recurrent was performing close to 99%. So we have a challenge with our budgeting system. We have a challenge because we do not have people who have competent enough, who have capacity to do line-by-line check of the budget. As soon as they bring it, you had your own, we had our own, let it pass, let everybody be happy. That's the problem we have.
We said we were going to look at the highs, the lows, and the in-betweens. We've seen the lows. Were there any in-betweens or highs in the last 2 years in the Tinubu administration, in your view?
I don't. Where are the in-betweens?
Was there any in your view? Was there anything good that happened in the past 2 years?
There was an attempt to do something good, maybe to try to say they are going to give loan to students. But the loan is not getting to a lot of people.
So the loan scheme was a good idea?
It was a good idea, but what we need to do, we need to follow the Constitution. The president needs to look back and say, why are we giving loan to Nigerian students? Look at Donald Trump. He has said that they are giving $9,000 to people who want to go for vocational education. So why not go back to the days where Wole Soyinka and co were in school, where you have free education, where you have free meal being given out to students in federal universities? What's the big deal about that?
What about local government autonomy?
Local government autonomy, the president played politics with it.
How so?
Of course, what happened in Rivers. what happened in Rivers has shown that there's politics attached. Because Section 103, as much as you cannot remove an elected status of assembly, you can't remove an elected executive governor, and you have done that. And the local government, as I speak, since the Supreme Court judgment was given, you know what they have? It's not local government autonomy per se. The judgment they got for Supreme Court is financial autonomy for local government, so that local government can get their money direct line charge from CBN to the account of the local government. We still have a problem with how the elections is being conducted by State Independent Electoral Commission. So, but the president have not fulfilled his promise because they are doing quick probe with the governors. Because since when the judgment came, there is no payment from CBN or anywhere to the local government authorities in their areas. So we need to have, when you pursue an agenda, it shouldn't be done for funfair. It shouldn't be done so that politicians will see that you want to make an attempt. Because the lives of the people matter. Local government is at the root of and the foundation for the development of our communities. And if we cannot get that right, it will be difficult to get the entire governance system right. The president, it should be worried. Because if you are in government, and sincerely, and I know Nigerians for that, and you are performing, you don't have to do aid. You don't have to do adverts. You can see what happens in Abia. You don't have to do any campaign of any sort. Nigerians will applaud you. But as I speak to you today, the level of poverty that more than 130 million Nigerians have been pushed into multidimensional poverty, which represents about 156% of our population. So we need to be able to agree that there's a problem. How do we channel these resources in an appropriate manner? People talk about, oh, why are you talking about East Calabar Coastal Rail Line road? 700 kilometers of road. They've done 30 kilometers in 2 years. If you calculate it, 2 years, 30 kilometers, that means we are going to take 23.5 years to complete the 700 kilometers. So we have over 46,000 federal roads that are left undone. From here to Lokoja, you can't move. From 65 kilometers from Enugu to Oka, you can't move. So the government need to sit down, get all this road working, connect it, and the way to build up society is not really basically about road alone. It's about what are you putting in place for localization of industry, because our people can't get jobs. The level of unemployment today, and the worst one is the underemployment. Because when you are employed and you are paid less than what you should earn in the society, you're underemployed.
I mean, the figures really from the World Bank are very damning. 75.5% of rural dwellers below. And
41.5% in urban areas.
There are many economists, some from the presidency, who dispute these figures, you know, and then talk about the purchasing power of the dollar, because what's being benchmarked is $2.15. So they keep talking about how with $2.15 converted to Naira, you can actually feed and take care of yourself. But that's not what I want to get your thoughts on.
Yes,
I wanted to
talk with my friend.
Yeah, okay, you heard him when he said it. Well, you know, that on its own, you can respond to that if you want to. However, when it comes to poverty alleviation in our country, how is the president missing the point?
I think he's missing the point because he's running an elitist, governance system whereby he doesn't relate to the people, he doesn't connect with the people. There's no where's the media? The FCT media even have more media presence than him. So he should be able to have a medium by which he communicates with Nigerian people, probably get a feedback directly. Because, people around him.
Oh, he's had media chats, hasn't he?
The media chat are controlled. This NTA thing, and you come around and people try to pass it around. We need to have a proper interaction, even if the president has to go from town hall to town hall. Except we don't have the president we have a president that don't have that kind of energy, which is what Nigerians think. Because if you're a president of a country that needs development, that needs urgent, very emergency treatment so that it can come back to life, you need to be able to do what needs to be done in an extra manner. Because you can't just sit and expect you just sign document and it becomes successful through non-implementation. Because some of this policy, none of them have seen the light of day. Because if we have the kind of land we have, and the president had promised there's going to till 500,000 hectares of land. Imagine if you had done that. Imagine the kind of jobs our agricultural extension students we have. Imagine the chain, the multiple effect, the spiral effect that you have on our economy. So you can't be talking about Lincoln you and people are comparing you to somebody who changed the entire country and made it a first-class country. Then you are not doing the same thing.
Let's talk about security. Under the Tinubu administration in the past 2 years.
Yeah, security.
I saw some things that you wrote about it. And in your mind, there has been no plans from the government for security. But we did hear last night The Air Force, they are actually calling what happened last night one of the biggest moves when it comes to the war against Boko Haram, killing scores of terrorists yesterday night. But one of the issues that we've heard many people talk about, and I've heard you talk about it as well, is the fact that kinetic measures are being done. What happens to be non-kinetic? And when we're talking about non-kinetic, we're talking not just about poverty alleviation and not creating fodder for terrorist organizations to recruit more people. We're also taking a look at the corruption and the economy that we have seen around terrorism in Nigeria. How can President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the next 2 years, fix that? Is it possible?
He just needs to step up his game and be the commander-in-chief and fire those who are not delivering on the mandate.
Fire the service chiefs.
Of course, if they're not delivering on their mandate, well, look at the statistics. It's embarrassing. We're not in a state of war. We should say we're in a state of war as we speak today. Over 10,000 Nigerians in the last 2 years or so have died. 10,000. It's not small. Over 620 villages has been ransacked. These are figures by Amnesty International. These are figures that you can relate with, that you can see on the daily newspaper every day. Are we in a state of war? So you need to have a proactive measure, not these reactionary measures that they're applying. You know, they just see something happen. Bandits have sacked our military base before, recently, in the last 2-3 weeks. So you cannot have these reactionary measures and you want us to applaud you that you are doing something. What about the communities that are being wiped out in Benue? Like I said,
you belong to a political party.
Yes, I belong to a political party.
The Labour Party.
It's obvious. Everybody knows that.
So if the Labour Party was in power, can they even get the power? Because the issue that we're looking at with the Labour Party is that we're still wondering what's going on with the opposition in this country, whether it's the PDP or the Labour Party. Your party. Now, it's very easy from the outside to take a look at government and say, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. But how is your party getting itself together to take over this government, if that is what they say they want to do? And how are you going to do that if you haven't gotten your house together?
We're the only party in Nigeria that knows we have a problem and trying to solve it. And it's obvious. You've seen our leaders act in that direction. People are focusing on opposition, when they should be focusing on government. As we speak to you, which NEC brought the Ganduje to national chairman? When last did they hold any NEC or convention? The North Central, whose that slot of national chairman belongs to, have been alienated from the APC. They're complaining. So people are looking at the opposition, they're not organized. Like I will always say, no matter how disorganized the opposition is, it's not their fault that Nigeria is in the very bad state. And nobody should shift that blame on them. And you can see that the opposition is even more, does not have any blame. All of us are
organized opposition gives Nigerians the option.
We are well
because
organized.
What people are saying now is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu might win the next election.
No, he's not going to win it.
How do you know that? When your party needs to get itself together, we don't know who the national chairman of your party is. We hear about a coalition going on. We do not know who the flag bearer of your party is going to be. How is the Labour Party going to get together
I've been in party management. I've had my highs and have my lows.
Yes.
And I can tell you that you cannot have a party is about self-succession. It's perpetual succession. Even if 200 million people are in the party today and 190-something million resign from the party, the remaining ones will go along. It doesn't matter. You have a situation where INEC had gone to court, signed an affidavit and say the tenure of Abre is over. You have a situation where INEC had written a letter to the public and say they never monitor Inewi Convention. That is bygone. And you have a situation where the Supreme Court has made a judgment. And then elected persons who are elected on the platform of Labour Party, who are substantive, who are statutory delegate to the National Convention, are taking decision. It's left for INEC. INEC is the umpire. INEC is the one delaying the decision. Whatever decision they want to take, Nigerians will judge them. It will be in public domain. They have independent attached to their name. It is now for them to show the public what they want to do. So I have always maintained that the opposition is ready. And you can see, look, it's the message to the people. Look at what Labour Party did through Peter Obi. Even not for Peter Obi, that his message resonated with people. Because, like I said to you, what Peter Obi will bring to the table from the opposition is what the current president does not have. The ability to go through the budget, the ability to prioritize the necessary budgetary measures that will affect
if he contests under the Labour Party,
the positive life of the people.
If he contests under the Labour Party,
that's what we're going to do.
We're watching to see how all of that works. But I want to thank you very much, High Chief Peter Ahmed, for being with us on Politics Today. Good luck with all the work you have ahead of you, and we'll see you very soon. High Chief Peter Ahmed there, from the Conference of United Political Parties. We're going to short break. When we come back, we've heard from politicians. Let's hear from civil society. Stay with us. To Politics Today, we have been talking about 2 years of the Tinubu administration, the highs and lows and the in-betweens. We listened to the politicians not too long ago, but let's take a look at what civil society is saying and what score they're giving of the president tonight as he looks at 2 years in office. Has he done well? Are there areas that he should fix? Are there things that he should start looking at? And what is he ignoring? Is he doing a government for the elites, as he has been accused of by our guest earlier? Or are there things that we just don't understand? Well, we have a political analyst from civil society who knows his own take this evening. Mr. Jidojo joins us here on Politics Today. Thank you very much for being with us on the program.
My pleasure, Killer.
Let me start off with a score.
What about it?
Come on, don't do that. You know people have been scoring the president.
No.
What's the score for him for the past 2 years? Let's say 10 being excellent and 1 being absolutely woeful.
I will disappoint you on that count because I really would not want to do an overall score unless we take it sector by sector.
All right, so let's do that.
Yeah, so
The economy.
The economy. I will score him 7.
He's doing well. That's a pass mark.
Yeah, he's doing well on the economy because of the macroeconomic reforms. But that is not to say that the gestation period of that economic reforms have been fully achieved. You know, it's a. I said on a media interview, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I said, okay, you plant cassava or you plant maize or you plant anything, you are not going to reap harvest that product that same day. But are we on the path to greatness? I would believe so, particularly from what I listened to from some of his ministers that were on this program yesterday. Mm-hmm. I took my time to listen. I'm not just a critic for criticism's sake. I mean, I'm an analyst, and I'm a columnist, I'm a researcher, mm-hmm. I'm an advocate, and so I knew that we are not where we should be, but we are not where we ought to be. But that is not to say, when I say 7, I'm looking at infrastructural development. I'm looking at the fact that we are seeing some tangibles in terms of fixing some of the. I mean, I was privileged to be at Rule of Law Development Foundation of senior advocate J.B. Daudu on May 27, and I made a presentation there, and I was able to articulate what I would consider Tinubunomics. What is Tinubunomics? That's the economic policies of this government. You look at quite a bouquet of things that he has committed to. Aside from infrastructure, there's credit scheme, the MSME 200 billion. There is the credit core to give people loan. There are other innovations, so on that count, I would say, well, at least for me, fair deal. But I'm not judging him for having finished or completed, or that we have seen the full benefit of that microeconomic policies. I'm judging him on the initiatives that, okay, if we follow through this path,
yes,
we may get somewhere that would. Okay, let me give you an instance. There is now 6 zonal development centers, first of its kind. Mm-hmm. And if they do not disappoint themselves and turn it into an ATM, you are going to see the geopolitical zones having some other, being able to deliver on development agenda. You look at the tax reform. A lot has gone into that. Maybe in the coming days he's going to sign. So I'm judging him on policies.
Not on the performance of the policy.
Not on performance.
But you see, when everyone is taking a look at the president, all they're thinking about is the impact of whatever policy it is on the Nigerian people.
And I agree.
And the quality of the life of the Nigerian.
And I agree. And
in your view, from an analytical point of view,
yeah.
Can you still score him 7 over 10 when you take a look
on the achievement? No.
When you look at the life of the Nigerian?
No. I won't do that. I'm not mad. I won't do that. I'm also a victim of the system. I mean, see, Kela, we can look at the cup as being half full or half empty. If I use myself as an individual, my life is worsted. But not necessarily by Tinubu, but cumulatively. I wrote in my column in The Punch this Wednesday that Nigerian ruling elite and state capture. What all the leaders, past and present, have been trying to do is state capture. And by that, they are self-serving. Personal aggrandizement is what they are doing. But let me backtrack a little. When I say I'm looking at the reforms, I'm not looking at the achievement. I gave you an analogy that if you plan today, you are not going to read that same day. It's going to take a bit of a time. So what is the current impact? The current impact is negative.
I mean, one of the things that happens, sorry, Mr. Gijojo, one of the things that happened is that endorsement. That endorsement was political. What it did, and I don't know if many people really got that, people who are around the president, I don't know if they really understood that. What that did was tell the Nigerian people that we don't live the same lives that you do. We're not seeing the same things that you're seeing. We're not experiencing the same country. Almost like we have a divided country. There are people in a bubble, and there are people outside of the bubble.
No, let's calibrate this. I will not say kudos to the president for overall achievement and performance. You asked me a question about whether what the streets are saying. And the streets are not happy. The streets are not smiling. I'm not smiling. Why? Because of the same macroeconomic policies. You look at the quality of life as depreciated. More people have fallen into poverty. More unemployment. You understand what I'm saying? So you can look at the flip side of those reforms and the impacts they have brought about being negative. But how do you, and I will give you this analogy, Kela. You don't win a match in the first half of a game, do you?
No, you don't.
Yeah. So Chelsea just played a couple of days back, was losing 1-0 to Real Betis. But at the end of the game, in the second half, defeated Real Betis by 4 goals to 1.
This victory, that has stressed this country.
No, wait. I'm not.
This victory that has stressed this
I'm only giving you an analogy, and let nobody misconstrue me as being endorsing the president. It does not have my endorsement. I'm not a politician. I'm not a member of the political class. I'm only saying initiatives, reforms.
But we've never lacked reforms. We've never lacked policies. We've had some of the most beautiful reforms in the world.
No, exactly. We have never lacked reforms, but can we keep eye on this current one and see that these reforms, these sufferings are not eternal for us? Now, let's pick from removal of subsidy. You asked Chief the other time, did any of the other candidates say they were going to remove the subsidy?
They all did.
They all said yes. I disagree at the point in time that the president removed the subsidy. I disagree. He could have tarried a bit, do some housekeeping, went on a visit to Port Harcourt and Warri and see the state of the turnaround maintenance, and go to Dangote, have a tete-a-tete with him to say, we know this your edifice has been already commissioned. When are you going to start production? Did you know that Kenya had to extend subsidy for about 6 months in order to cushion the effect, at some point. So
I think it was done in a hurry. But was it necessary?
It was.
It was. And that's the point I'm coming from. Looking at the cup as being half full rather than being half empty.
I want to be able to take you, because you are a political analyst.
Yeah.
When it comes to politics in this country, how would you rate how the president has handled a lot of things, bearing in mind what happened in Rivers State? Bearing in mind right now the fact that there are massive defections going to the All Progressives Congress. I've asked before, does the APC understand that people need to eat? When you join a party, they will have political ambitions. Some have said that the All Progressives Congress is heading towards an implosion. With all of these people,
I said that.
You said the same thing as well.
And wait, Kayla. I don't know if you read my column. I happen to be one of those people who called out the president and said, Mr. President, you goofed on Rivers. And it's there online. People can fact-check me. People can read. I disagree with him. He does not have the power to suspend an elected government.
Did that impact his legacy in your view?
Well, of course it does, because he's the first president that have gone that far. Not Obasanjo, not Goodluck Jonathan. If he had wanted to be a Democrat, what he should have done was to follow the path of Goodluck Jonathan in 2014. Was it 2013 or 2014? When he declared state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. And he did not remove the democratic institutions. Neither did they suspend them. So Obasanjo did not remove the state assembly, but removed the governors in Ekiti, in Plateau. I think those two. Maybe there was more. But he removed the governor, put Oluni in place of Fayose in Ekiti, put Chris Ali in place of Dariye in Plateau. But I read out the president's pedigree as a Democrat. You don't do this. I even feel embarrassed that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice could justify that. Because you are the chief law officer. How can you say the president was right to have suspended a Democrat? Meanwhile, the Supreme Court said the reason why they ruled Fubara out of order was what? Because he neglected an arm of government, which was the legislature. So how can the president now come a few weeks after and suspend the governor, deputy governor, and the 32 members of the State House of Assembly? On that count, he's called low. And he has not made any pretense that he's even doing any political restructuring. I've asked him. I was in Ibadan the day he gave a keynote address at Abiola Ajimobi memorial lecture, the third Abiola Ajimobi. I was a panelist at that event. He was the guest speaker. And he spoke glowingly about restructuring. And I was looking forward to his restructuring agenda. And I've asked him time and again in my column in The Punch, Mr. President, what is your restructuring agenda? What he has said, when he went to see Pa Fasonati in Akure, was that he's focusing on economic restructuring. And we have seen the restructuring. But the gestation period of those restructuring, economic restructuring, is not yet fully. We cannot, in good conscience, say he has achieved on those reforms. But on political, whether it's the sole candidacy, the endorsement, it's too early in the day. You are just midterm, and then you are getting endorsement as the sole candidate.
Some people have pointed to the fact that this could be the APC being afraid, starting politics in 2 years before the election.
It's not even, for me, it's not about being afraid or not. I think it's just kind of taking the people for granted that this is a given. And I think Mr. President needs to be wary of this kind of endorsement early in this. Did you know that Goodluck Jonathan got all manner of endorsements?
I think people forget that this sort of endorsement happened in past. And Goodluck lost the election.
He lost the election. So you can get all the endorsements. 24 hours is a long time in politics. So if you are getting all the endorsements and you allow it to get into your head, this psychophancy led Goodluck Jonathan to his political albatross that he stood out as the first elected president to lose as a sitting president. But I know what the focus for APC is winning the next election, which is unfortunate. It should be about the next generation. How do we mitigate the suffering of the people? How do we, I've always quoted this, Section 14, Subsection 2B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria talks about security and welfare of the citizens being the primary purpose of government. Do we have security? Do we have welfare? The answer is no. But I must also say this, Kayla. I will not, in good conscience, say Tinubu should carry the can for all the woes of the present, our present woes. I said, and I don't know whether I said it on your show, I said there are 11,082 political offices in Nigeria. 11,082, starting with 8,809 councillorship, 768 local government and 6 area council chairmen, to 993 state house of assembly positions, down to 36 governors, down to 360 house of reps members, to 109 senators, to the president. Now, the national and the subnational, what are they working in sync? Is there a synergy?
And
we are talking of security challenge.
And the accountability that when it comes to the subnationals, in many ways...
We have not seen the accountability.
It feels like it's been... But we do have to wrap up there. It's never enough time to talk about the scorecard of Mr. President. And of course, I know that this is a conversation that's going to continue in the next few days. But
let me say this, final word to Mr. President, if he's watching, watch your back. Psychophants around you are only interested in retaining their position. The real truth is that the street is not smiling.
All right. Thank you so much, political analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo, for being with us on Politics Today, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
That's our program tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. Good night.